Everyone, this is Rangast, back for part 3 of my tutorial series here for Crusader Kings 2. So, last time we were talking about the Council, and I just want to quickly go back to this character screen and try to finish up a couple odd things here. Namely, we're going to talk about focuses. I'm not sure exactly what the proper plural is there, but this button here, these things, these 10, and then also ambitions as well. I'll get it out of the way right now. In order to select a focus, you need to have the Way of Life DLC, which is the most recent one, as of the filming of this video. If you don't have it, you can't select these, but there are other ways to increase your stats, but they'll be in the ambitions. So like I just said, these will allow you to increase your stats. So you'll notice they're 10, and they are color-coded, just like the traits. So you can guess already that these two are probably going to have to do with stewardship, intrigue, and so forth. And I don't know why, but I think it's just because it looks good, they show you your character right in the middle. So, now each of these bonuses, each of these foci give slightly different bonuses. So you have for stewardship, you have business and rulership. And rulership is just a straight +3 bonus, as opposed to business, which is +2, but you get a better opinion with city vassals. By the same token, theology gives you +2 and +2 learning, and +20 temple vassal. That's just +3 learning. And then you have this one here. I mean, you're always going to have one that gives you +3, and then you're going to have other ones that give you other benefits. So this one increases your fertility and sex appeal. This increases your health, and this increases your fertility and health. So, as to exactly what they do, when you select it, so let's say I want to select theology, it'll show it to you right there, and you can just select it right away. You can only change them once every 5 years, so you do have to be somewhat careful about which one you select. Now, when you select it, on top of getting that buff of, in this case, +2 learning, you will also trigger events that will allow you to increase whatever the respective stat is, or gain different traits. So, we'll just kind of work our way around. So we'll start with business here. So right off the bat, you would get +2 stewardship and +20 city vassal, like we said before. There are no requirements. Anybody can select this as long as you're not a prisoner. That's the only thing. And I believe that is for most of these as well. Oh, actually, you can always do learning and apparently seduction. Those you can always pick, even if you're in prison. Apparently there are other ones here, so like seduction, obviously if you're celibate, a monk, or a nun, you can't select that, but that's another story. So with the business one, you occasionally get different events. Like I said, there will be different ones for each. So you'll have, there's a one to mint coins, and there's one for trading, I believe. But it'll also level up your stewardship over time, and you can also get these lifestyle traits, which will appear usually right to the right of your education trait. And it's just another permanent trait. It's a permanent buff to your character. The ones that you can get here are Architect or Gardener, which again do buff this. And by the same token, you have Rulership, which is the +3 variety. You can build a castle for, like 400 gold or something like that. The downside is occasionally you'll pick up Stressed or Depressed, so that is a little bit of a double-edged sword. And on some events you can actually pick up different traits, just like regular old traits, like Just, Diligent, Ambitious. And you can get the Administrator lifestyle trait, which is a +3 stewardship, I believe. Moving on, we have Intrigue, which is just your straight +3 intrigue. So that gives you, let's see, the ability to spy on people, which allows you to discover plots and kind of allows you to find reasons to imprison people. And also, you can free people from captivity who are being held by someone else. You can orchestrate a plot to get them back. And during the events that pop up, you can get traits such as deceitful, or if you have honest, you can lose honest. Then you get some other kind of lifestyle skill buffs, which are amateur schemer and then schemer, and then there are 2 different ones that you can get, 2 different lifestyle traits. There's impaler and master schemer. The same token, seduction works in a similar way. You have the option to seduce, which will improve opinion, give someone a good tumble, and they can become your lover. And so also you can get some other events. So if you're a woman, you can escape from prison if you are being held in prison. I personally haven't gotten that event. It's just what I've read. You can gain lustful or lose chaste, just like kind of what you'd expect with seduction there. There's some different ones that you can, different modifiers you can get. Court tomcat or court vixen, depending on your gender. And that gives you a buff to your intrigue and your sex appeal. And what that is just if you're a male character, any heterosexual female character will like you more if you have a higher. I forget exactly what they call it. There's a specific name for the modifier, but it's like opposite sex opinion or something like that. So you can also get aspiring seducer, then seducer, and that'll buff that modifier even higher. And you can select master seductress or seducer depending on your gender, obviously. Or you can add the lifestyle trait hedonist, which I forget exactly what it does, but it's not one I tend to get very often. But that I think it boosts your diplomacy at the expense of your learning. I'll have to check that out. If I see anything, I'll add it down, probably in an annotation like right here. So then we have war. Obviously, you're focusing on martial here. So this lets you duel characters. If someone's a rival or a foe in a war, you can duel them. You have a chance to kill them. It doesn't list them, but you can also duel excommunicated ruler or characters and decadent characters. Decadent characters are obviously only if they're Muslim. You can pick up a couple traits there. You can get duelist, which is another lifestyle trait. Get exactly what it does. I haven't really dealt with a lot of the lifestyle traits, so I apologize. You can go on a wiki, actually. It's just CKIIwiki.com. You can look up lifestyle traits and it'll give you all that fun information. So you can also pick up Wroth, Brave, and Strong, so that's great, being able to pick up Strong, because that's a congenital one. So if you get that, and then you have kids, your kids can inherit the Strong trait that you just randomly picked up. On the other hand, though, you can get Craven, Wounded, or Maimed, so that's where it balances out there. Hunting is another good one. The only requirements there is that you're not a member of the Jain faith or prisoner. And the main benefit right there is that you have the health boost. So especially if your character's old and you want to get a few more years out of them, it might be worth selecting hunting. And it allows you to go on a grand hunt. I think it's usually like a white deer or something that they're trying to find, and you can get other things. I think you can actually get a dog through this one. You can pick up obviously the hunter lifestyle trait, which boosts your martial. Then moving around here to diplomacy, we have family, who, as long as you're not a prisoner, you can select it. And it'll improve your relations with your spouse, family members, really anyone that you have any relation to. And those are, again, fired through events. And also through other events you can gain Proud, you can level up the education trait for diplomacy if you have that. family man or family woman, just kind of like you have amateur, seducer or what have you. And that'll boost your fertility even more. And then family patriarch gives you another boost, church opinion, and higher diplomacy. For women, it's family matriarch. And you can get a couple lifestyle traits, socializer or game master. So those will help further. So this is a good one if you're playing as a patrician in a republic, because you want a huge number of adult males. And also, you tend to inherit as an older character because they use a seniority system. So your odds are you're not going to have as long of a character, so the +1 health bonus there is really useful. Now, the carousing one can be picked by just about anyone as long as they're not an ascetic, which is part of the Indian faiths. And also only if you're a Muslim, if you're decadent, a hedonist, or a drunkard. Those are the only ways if you're a Muslim character. Other than that, though, as long as you're not a prisoner, you can select it. And that gives you a straight +3 buff to diplomacy. You can invite people to carousing, so you can host private parties. Truth be told, I've never had any luck with that. Every time I invite people, they say no. I don't know if that's saying something about me or if I'm doing something wrong, but nonetheless, it is there. And from what I've read, again, I haven't actually had any success with it, so I'm going all academic on this one. You can form friendships. You can apparently sleep with your guests. If you have stressed or depressed, which you might remember you could get through rulership, you have a chance to lose them. And also you can get, different opinion buffs. And you can pick up the hedonist, socializer, or game master lifestyle traits. And then we have the theology foci. So we'll start with just regular old scholarship. So you're going to get more events to gain tech. So like if you have one of your counselors here, oh good, that stays up. One of your counselors, of course I'm a tribal character here, so it's not going to display, but one of the jobs that we talked about in the last episode, so something like study cultural tech or something like that, you can just plop him down, and you'll get more those events more frequently. You can also build an observatory, which can allow you to get deceitful, diligent, stressed, or +1 learning. And you will sometimes get a choice between military tech points, cynical, zealous, brave, scholar, or culture tech points, paranoid, lunatic, or mystic. So that can be useful, very useful for that. Now for theology, this is one I do tend to like to start with because it right off the bat allows you to go on a pilgrimage. And then, as long as I remember, I'll switch to something else. Especially since learning is kind of a dump stat. It doesn't really get used as much for things. But that pilgrimage trait does help you get some good opinion and allows you to pick up it's either 2 or 3 random events to pick up traits. So if you've watched some of the other Let's Plays that I've had going so far, those can be picking up zealous or kind, charitable, something like that. Beyond that, you can pick up a lifestyle trait, theologian. I've also picked up scholar with that one. I don't know if that was a fluke, but I did pick that up once. You can also, again, pick up zealous or cynical or stressed. And then you can also get sympathy for another religion group. So that could be if you're a Christian character, sympathy for Jews, pagans, Muslims. I would assume there's one for the Indian faiths, and probably for the African ones as well. But I'm never in that area of the map, so I've never seen them. That pretty much covers it for that. Now, we were talking before about ambitions. Now, if you do not have Way of Life, you will see several more here. As a matter of fact, for this character, you would see 4. You would have Improved Diplomacy, Improved Stewardship, Improved Intrigue, and Improved Learning. And the goal there, you have this success condition, it would be to get the relevant score to 8, and it would trigger events. You would not get the buff, though, that you get with the immediate buff that you get with the Way of Life DLC using the focus. If you have that DLC on purchased and enabled, you will not be able to select these ambitions, which is why they're not displaying here for me. So for the ones that are out there, let's see, we've got Amass Wealth. Pretty self-explanatory. Get 500 gold. And that gives you an increase in your stewardship. So if you've got a character who really doesn't have good stewardship, might be worth double teaming and having that going, and then either business or stewardship, business or rulership as your focus. Paragon of Virtue, same basic idea, but it's for learning. And it also has some other things. You'll get an epithet. You'll be known as the Holy. So that doesn't really do anything, but it's nice. You also gain some piety out of it, gain 100. And very useful, your religious head, and I would assume it's any and all temple vassals that you have will like you more. I only have one at the moment, so it's only displaying one. And also moral authority for, in this case, Catholicism will be raised by 1% for 20 years. We'll talk about more of what that means in a later episode. That'll probably be one of the last ones that we do, because it's one of the last tabs. There's also Become Exalted Among Men, which, in order to... Oh, I should note, in order to see these ambitions pop up in the first place, you need to have less than 200 gold or less than 100 piety. For Become Exalted Among Men, you need to have less than 200 prestige and not have the humble or content traits. And the goal there is to get 1,000 prestige, and that'll give you an increase in your diplomacy. And your vassals will like you more. 10% bonus from direct vassals. Or plus 10 bonus from 10 vassals. Now then. Get married. This one, if you start as a character and he is not married, you want to get him married right away. This is a quick one to get. It is really easy. As long as you're unmarried and not betrothed, you can select this. Also, you can't have celibate, homosexual, eunuch, monk, nun, can't be sworn to a holy order, you can't be a woman over 40, and you can't be a priest. As long as you are just a regular feudal character, or a patrician, or something like that, or a tribal character, odds are you'll be able to select this. And then it's really easy. You just arrange marriage, you find someone. Once it goes through, the ambition is fulfilled, and you've just gained 10 quick piety for doing next to no work. We'll talk about this one in a bit. There are some other ones. There's a variant on that for female characters under the age of 45 who aren't celibate or nuns, and whose father is a duke or a higher title. Just marry ruler. So technically, if, say, the Byzantine emperor's daughter wanted to get married, she could have that ambition and marry me and fulfill it because I'm a ruler. Even if I was a vassal of another lord, I believe that would still count because I still have a title. Now, once you do get married, very useful ambitions are have a daughter or son. And again, females over 45 can't select this. You have to be married. You cannot be celibate. And if you have a son, you can't select have a son. If you have a daughter, you can't select have a daughter. So what this does is it gives you a plus 25% boost to your fertility, which you'll remember from the first episode is a hidden trait. So that is one thing that you can get. And it's really useful if you have that and your wife has one. It makes it so much easier. And on success, you gain 10 piety. Now, there's also gain a title, or a landed title, usually. So that's if, I don't have any brothers, but if I had a sibling or something who was unlanded, he might be looking for a title. But he can't be an heir to anything unless you're in an elective monarchy, because that functions a little differently. It's not a sure bet. And if you have that ambition, you'll get 50 prestige, but I'm not sure how you get that, because if you're unlanded, you can't play as that character. So that's when you're more apt to see with other characters. Become heir, just what it sounds like. You want to become the heir, and the primary heir has to be the liege's child and has a disease or is a lunatic, possessed, infirm, or incapable. And then if you succeed on that, if you become the heir, you gain 1 intrigue. Now, we don't have these ones because we are not a vassal, but if we were, you would see become, so like Chancellor, Marshal, Steward, any of these. So you have to be a vassal to someone, and you have to be eligible for the positions. So if you're regular old Christian feudal ruler, and you're a woman, you're probably not going to have any of these available to you because of reasons we talked about before. And if you do succeed, you gain +1 of that attribute in that council, in that field. But even if you get fired and you try to retake it, you won't get that +1 again, so there is no feedback loop there. Now, the lower decadence is one for Muslim characters. If they have decadence of over 60, they can select this. And the end goal is to have decadence under 60, and they'll get events to lower it. And they'll get 100 prestige out of the deal. Now then, you'll see here, become king. In this case, become king of Ireland. So you have to be a ruler of either count or duke tier, and you'll become king of wherever the de jure kingdom is that you're a part of. So in this case, it would be Ireland. So Kingdom of Ireland here, we have the become king of Ireland. One thing to bear in mind, this cannot be cancelled, so be really sure you know what you're doing. Might be one you want to select right before you launch into a war to do it. And you cannot move your capital to another de jure kingdom while this is active, and you can't give away your county capital. So it does restrict you quite a bit. Now that being said, if you're a pagan or an Indian character, you gain a different casus belli, which we'll talk about more in depth in a later video, but that's just basically a reason to go to war. So just to see here, you'll see I just switched over to the diplomatic relations tab. Green is us, yellow is anyone we can declare war on. So we have a claim on this apparently for someone. Yep, one of our courtiers, my chancellor, has a claim on that, so I could declare for him. So it would give me a reason to declare war on him. And if you... Oh, and that's only, again, within the de jure kingdom, so I couldn't launch that and say Wales. Now, other than that, though, they can use that, I believe, an unlimited number of times. I might be incorrect in that. I don't usually play as a pagan, and I've never played as an Indian character. But you gain 1,000 prestige out of it if you do succeed. Now, if you're a Buddhist character, you can reject a negative trait. So those are impaler, cruel, paranoid, craven, drunkard, lustful, gluttonous, greedy, wroth, envious, or proud. And you cannot be either slow, an imbecile, inbred, or a lunatic. And on success, you will... success is losing one of those traits, and it gives you a chance to lose those traits. And you have a higher chance to lose it if you have more than 6 personality traits. So here we have 4. So if I had 2 more, there'd be a higher shot of it. And if you have a Count Guru, they'll give you some help, and you'll gain some piety out of it. If you're one of any of the Indian religions, though, you can strive to become a paragon of enlightenment, and you have to have less than 100 piety, and again, not be slow, an imbecile, inbred, or a lunatic. And on success, you have to have had 500 piety, and you gain 1 learning, 100 piety, a nickname. You'll get a bonus with your clergy, and your religion will get 1%, a 1% boost to moral authority. That pretty much covers all of those. There really aren't any other ambitions that I'm aware of. So with that, we'll wrap it up. And obviously, if you have any questions or anything, you can just leave them down below in the comments, and I'll try to answer them. And obviously, some of the stuff, I know I'm referencing a lot of things that we haven't really talked about, But I promise we will talk about them. You just got to bear with me a little bit. There is a lot of information in this game that you have to go through. I mean, we've only basically covered the character screen in one tab, and we have all these other ones to go. So next week, I think I'm going to do laws. I was originally going to do claims, but I think I'm going to group that in with military because it just seems more appropriate. Well, that episode might be a monster one, so I might split that one again, but it'll be grouped in with the military episode or episodes. So we'll talk about laws next time, what they all mean, different types of secession, what a crown law is, how often you can change them, if at all, what the requirements are, and so forth. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Again, please comment down below if you have any questions or anything, and I'll be happy to get back to you. So, I will see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.